But basic concept is that you got two strands of twisted wire. One is twisted counterclockwise, the other one's twisted clockwise. And what sets this one a little bit apart is that I made it that the spiral wire, the flattened spiral wire, and these little grooves match right up with each other, and it does some pretty crazy stuff to the juice, and the flavor and the amount of vapor that comes out of it is pretty nuts. But I just wanted to show you the basic concept, that you got the two different wires just running in parallel in opposing twist directions. And so I'll go ahead and let's see the build video. Got a build video for you guys today, called the zipper coil, just because it looks a lot like a zipper when it's together. And you'll see like the better explanation of it with the build video portion. This is just a single, and this is just an unregulated box mod, so it's 4.2 volts. It's probably down to about 4 right now. This is a 5-wrap parallel zipper coil, and came out to about 0.27 ohms, and I'm using a 50/50 juice here. And I'll show you some performance on this thing. I had a request for this build video, and I'm glad I did, because I ended up liking this coil more than I realized, and I learned a lot in the process of making this. So you get a lot of dense vapor, and the flavor is really nice. And I ended up making a dual coil, which I don't show the mounting of the second coil in the video, but it ended up just about perfect, because the single coil was 0.27-ish ohms, and then the dual came out to right at 0.14. This is about perfect for me. Maybe a little clouded. I'm loving this thing. So, hope you like the build video. Fast forward the parts that seem unnecessary for you to watch. Okay guys, for this coil we're going to need a few things. Need some 28 gauge wire, some pliers of some sort to hold on to the wire, something to wrap your coil around. I like this size a lot. I think it's 3/32 probably equivalent. Need some clippers, some toothless pliers of some sort, just to flatten the wire, and then a drill. So first of all, like when I was starting to do this the first time, I twisted up my wires normally, and I'm going to be using that flat spiral wire is what I'm going to be making basically. And so if you haven't seen that video, I'd suggest checking out that video. I'm going to put a link in the description, so check it out. If you haven't yet, I would suggest watching that one before you watch this video. I'm not going to go into too much detail into how to flatten it and everything. I'm just going to do it pretty quickly. But I noticed the first time I was doing this that I was twisting the wires just like I normally do, in a clockwise fashion, and then when I went to twist them together, I noticed that the ones that I twisted clockwise, the same direction that I twisted originally, were twisted at different rates than the ones that I twisted counterclockwise. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. But basically you're going to need to do 3 strands of 28 gauge in one direction, 3 strands twisted in the other direction. And so I'm going to go ahead and twist this one up clockwise. Oops, other way. That should be good. Take it out of the chuck. And then the ones that I do clockwise, because I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to keep track of which ones were which, because they look identical. So the ones that I twisted the clockwise direction, I put to the right. And then the ones that I twisted to the counterclockwise direction, I put to the left. And now if this sounds like a lot of work to you, I mean, you can literally take 3 strands that haven't been twisted or anything and just put them together, tie a knot in it, put it in the drill, and pull them tight and twist them up. The only thing is you're not going to get as uniform a result from it. And really the benefit of that spiral wire is that it is so uniform. That's what gives it the wicking properties, so that juice is able to travel along really effectively. So if you wanted to just skip these sections, you can, and just try it the other way. I'm sure the coil will probably turn out pretty cool anyway. And then I'm just gonna, I've already pre-twisted all these wires, so you don't have to watch me do it. But you twist the second one, or you twist 3 of them clockwise, twist another 3 counterclockwise in the other direction, straighten them out. Okay, so I got the 3 wires twisted one direction, 3 wires twisted the other direction. Now I'm just going to grab these guys, and the way that you want to do it, if you're doing this process, is to, you're going to twist these ones that were clockwise, you're going to twist them opposite. So both of these sets of wires are going to be actually twisted together in the opposite direction they twisted the single wire. And I'm really glad that I stumbled upon that, because I've never been able to get wire twisted so tightly. It's pretty amazing. And I want to say thank you to Wiresmith on YouTube. On the last video that I did, the spiral wire video, he suggested that I hand twist these wires before putting them in the drill, and it does make it loads easier. Using the wrong pliers here, hold on. Just grab them at the end, straighten them out as good as I can. And then just twist these mothers up. That gives the drill chuck something to hold on to. And I'm just going to clip off the part that's not straight for us. I'm going to go ahead and insert it into the chuck here, tighten it down. So it's a lot to keep track of, which direction you've drilled each set of wires, but it's worth it. So these ones I'm going to go ahead and set on the opposite setting that I twisted them originally. Just going to pull these as tight as I can here. Grab them with the pliers. Just like the other video, I like to bend them over and start twisting. Alright, I'm seeing a little imperfection starting down here, so I'm going to pull this out of the chuck and clip that part off, because that's going to cause some breaking, which wouldn't really be a big deal, but I want to show you how tightly we can twist this wire. So I just want to get out the imperfections, make sure we're still going in the same direction previously. Grab a hold of this guy again and keep going, like farther than you would normally take it, and I'll show you what happens. And so once you get to the point where this wire is no longer contracting, you don't have to put any pressure barely on this side, because it's just staying in one place. and almost always it breaks off right at the chuck. And so I've never experienced that with, you know, more than 2 strands of wire before. And so that's just how evenly and how tightly you can get these guys twisted. So I'm going to do the same exact thing with these other 3 wires that you just saw. I'm going to pause the video so it doesn't take too long. I'm going to twist these in the opposite direction that I originally twisted them. Okay, so I got the other one twisted in the opposite direction, but what you want to do before you just start wrapping this or start spiraling this out is you want to put the 2 together and take a look at it and make sure that they're even, and these aren't even, so and keep them separate. You know, I'm keeping the one that I twisted clockwise or at this point counterclockwise in a separate position I'm going to remember. So that one got twisted up more, and so all you do is you just stick this guy back into the drill and continue drilling it up. And you just want to keep doing that until you get uniformly twisted for both of them. And so the reason that happened with this one probably is because I was twisting, I saw an imperfection right here, kept going, and ended up breaking at that imperfection. So you just take it out, put it back in the drill chuck, and you can keep going even tighter. That's the wrong way though. Okay. And that looks pretty good. Go ahead and show you guys a macro shot so you can see what this is supposed to look like at this point. So we got both right hand and left hand twists here. And it's not going to want to focus for whatever reason. So right hand and left hand twists next to each other. And you can see how they're pretty much as even as they're going to get as far as the amount of twists and their uniformity. And so this is basically what you're going to be looking for as far as consistency in both wires before you go on to the flattening process. So once you get them all twisted up, you got one in the clockwise direction, and you're going to do just like the spiral wire build vid. Where you put it back into the chuck. Now make sure it's going in the right direction, or it's going to unravel this whole thing. And just grab your toothless pliers. And we get in focus here. Toothless pliers, and then just same process as last time. Alright, I got that one done, and go ahead and switch the other one. Stick it in the chuck, right in the middle. Switch the drill to the opposite direction, or the correct direction, whatever you twisted this in, and this wire is a little bit harder to flatten, and I'm not sure if that's because it's twisted really to the maximum, or if it's just the angle that the wire is at now. You might find it's a little bit harder to get flattened. So I had to go over the previous build that you saw probably about 20 times before I had it where I really wanted it. I mean, it's not necessary to do that much, but I wanted it really uniform because I'm crazy. But yeah, I might find it a little bit harder than the previous spiral wire to get nice and rounded. And another little tip that I do, whenever I buy toothless pliers, I usually get the cheap ones. And there's always this black coating on there. almost always this black coating, and I just take sandpaper and I sand it all off of the portions that I'm going to be using. Just to get any of that weird coating. I'm not sure what it might be, Teflon or something that you probably don't want to be vaping. Alright, I got both of them finished. And I'm going to go wash these really well. Come back and take some macro shots so you can see what they look like now compared to before. Remember to wash these really well. You can see all the dust particles on my fingers even. So I'm going to wash them with soap, rinse them with water for about 5 minutes, and then I'll be back and show you some of those macro shots. Okay, so we got it all flattened round here, and as you can see, it is pretty uniform. And I got these washed off really well. And sometimes the wire will look a little junky as you're doing it, but once you get it all washed, it usually cleans up real nicely. And so you can see how intense these spins are. And so when you get these, when you're ready to wrap the coil, which I'll show you in just a second, you can align these however you want. I don't know if I'll be able to do this right now. But if you switch these positions, you'll notice that the pattern changes. Like now it's going the outward way. I haven't really messed around with the different directions yet as far as putting them so that they're facing outward in a V shape or towards each other like a, I guess, upside down V shape. But you can play around with that if you want to as far as which direction they go. I'll go ahead and show you how to build a coil. The atomizer I'm going to be using to build this on is the Mutation X. I just picked it up for 30 bucks. I can't remember where I got it. I just googled and found one. They cost about $30. They're an authentic atomizer. With a really cool airflow adjustment. I've never had an atomizer that I've had to actually close it off to enjoy it. So this is set up for fully open airflow. And it's got these really nice honking post holes. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I've got the two opposing wires, and let me just get these lined up. There we go. I like them. Just grab my bit, and I like to, I can't remember if I showed this last time, but I like to actually grab a hold of it at the base here, hold this top part, and kind of do a rolling motion with the hand that's holding the screwdriver. I find it gets kind of a more even twist going. And make sure you hold these other two wires really tight when you're doing this. Like tight together, just like any other parallel coil, but they're pretty springy, so they're going to want to wig out on you and pop apart. And as you're doing this, it freaks me out every single time, because as I'm wrapping it, it creates this crazy optical illusion where it looks like they're not touching. And I always think that one of the wires is loose. Then when I look at it, they're all touching. It's pretty crazy, little trippy coil. And it works really well. So I'm going to do 5 wraps, 6 wraps. What I found, 6 wraps on the Mutation X came out to 0.35 ohms, which I actually surprisingly enjoyed. It was a nice warm vapor with the airflow closed off pretty good, and something about this wire, there wasn't very much ramp up time even at 0.35 ohms. But I wrapped one up at with 5 wraps, and it was 0.26, which is a little bit more my style. And I haven't dualed these yet, but I'm guessing if you did 4 wraps, it'd probably be closer to 0.18, 0.2 area. So you can kind of just wrap this as many times as whatever makes you happy. So this side is kind of acting funny. And earlier when I was doing this, I realized that you can kind of pull on these to straighten them out. And so if there's some that aren't wanting to do, if you're hoping they would do, you can kind of mess around with the pliers and try to get it to cooperate with you. Then just go ahead and mount this guy on here. I can't get in this focus. And I like to stick this portion here that's going over like that into the center post. And then the other part that's coming around the other side through that negative side. And if you have these exact same length, you probably want to cut one of them, because especially if they're bent a little bit, it gets really hard to insert into the posts. And you can see there where my wires crossed as I put them through, so I'm just going to bend those back if I can, just to make sure that they're coming through in the right direction. Back this out a little bit. There we go. Alright, so I got that basically where I want that. I'm going to go ahead and pin down this negative post. And then see what we're dealing with on this side. Stick this guy through here. And I'm going to give these wires a little bit of a tug. Just tighten it up. You can kind of hold pressure with your thumb on the screwdriver while you get this going. And just make sure they're both as even as you can get them. Then we kind of hold right there while I tighten this positive post down. There we go. Now if you're building this on a standard mechanical, make sure you have your locking ring in place. I know it seems obvious, but I burn myself all the time doing that. I'm going to go ahead and check the ohms here. This ohm meter seems to be 0.05, reading 0.05 too low. So whatever it's telling me, I always add 0.05. So it's 0.27 is what we're looking at. It's about 0.27 ohms. So just about like it was earlier. Now these lead wires I'm going to leave on here. I'm going to leave on here for now. Normally I would clip those off before I start firing this thing up, but I'm going to try to dual this thing. I'm going to try to throw another one on the other side after this. But not on video, just because I don't want to. It's already too long. So all I do is I just start firing it up. It's going to be kind of uneven at first, like most twisted wire builds. You can usually find the angle that this wire wants to sit at. Pretty uneven still, that little portion over there. So I'm actually going to turn it the other way. Stick the screwdriver through. Kind of pull it up. Looking a little bit better. And at this point, well, it's red hot, but don't hold the button down, obviously. Just kind of adjust it. looking pretty good. I mean, it's basically even. I'm going to be crazy about it, try to get it perfect. But this is the way that I usually adjust my coils. Just get them as straight as I can from the beginning. And then just fiddle with them until they are to my liking. And this coil always freaks me out because it looks, I mean, it's totally round, and then when you turn it, it starts looking like those wires are poking out, and they're not. So this is the zipper coil. I'm going to wick it up with some Japanese cotton, and I'm going to enjoy this one. Let's see if I can't do a dual. If at the beginning of the video you saw a dual coil, that means I was successful. If not, then I wasn't. Well, thanks for watching. I hope it wasn't too long or boring. See you guys next time. Got it.